Welcome, everyone, to the Greg's Garage Pod with co-host Jason Pridmore. I'm Greg White, and yes, no Jason on this one because our boy is laid out in a hospital with a broken tib fib after a massive high side at Phillip Island in Australia. He was in P3 and then crashed out. So with that said, he had surgery today, and he is recovering. Tried to get him on the podcast to find out what's going on, but they moved him to a new hospital and had a second surgery. The external fixator is gone, if you haven't seen that. So anyway, so Jason, is doing well, and he has the external fixator off, and we'll find out when he's coming home. But hopefully next week we'll be back to full strength for this podcast. All right, so now it's time for the news presented by ARAI Helmets. And for 3 generations, ARAI has been making some of the world's best helmets. And of course, ARAI Helmets meets all safety standards, but they also pride themselves on having a blend of engineering tech and human craftsmanship that makes an ARAI helmet fit better and feel better, which also protects you better. Your head is worth the best. So go visit ARAIAmericas.com for more information on tech, fit, and of course, paint jobs. ARAIAmericas.com, you owe it to yourself. All right, first up, the Petronas Yamaha Sepang team launched their livery for 2019 with rider Franco Morbidelli and Fabian Quartararo's bikes. Now, you can't see it because obviously this is an audio thing, but I bring it up because Crash.net had an interview with CEO of Sepang, Ruslan Razali, about Mercedes-AMG Petronas racer Lewis Hamilton. The 5-time F1 world champ just took a spin on the pad of Yamaha World Superbike team's bikes. And Razali, who was asked about the possibility of Hamilton getting on one of their MotoGP Yamahas, he said, quote, "Working with Petronas, they're very aggressive in their engagement and activation. I would not be surprised if sooner rather than later that they get Lewis Hamilton involved. For sure, let's wait and see," unquote. Both riders agree that Hamilton can give their bikes a go. That would be very cool for Hamilton. All right, today M4 ECSTAR Suzuki announced the signing of 28-year-old Californian Bobby Fong to race a GSXR 600 in the MotoAmerica Supersport class for 2019. In the presser, Bobby said, quote, "I am stoked to be on a 600 again with a really strong team. I think we can make it work and have a lot of success together," unquote. My goodness, this year is shaping up nicely. In more MotoAmerica news, Kawasaki has posted over $1 million in contingency money for 2019. So if someone wins on a Kawasaki in the Superbike class, not likely to happen, but it'd be worth $15,000. Now in Stock 1000, after the success of reigning champ Andrew Lee on his Kawasaki last year, many more Cowies are going to be entered in this class, and for good reason. It's $5,000 for a win, $4,000 for second, and so on. They have also posted money to grab in Twins Cup and Liqui Junior Cup. Go get them. Now, also on the MotoAmerica Superbike side of things, racer and team owner Kyle Wyman announced that he'll be racing a Ducati Panigale V4 this year. So I picked up the phone and had a chat with Kyle about it, and here's that conversation. All right, Kyle, so big news the end of last week. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so we just announced on Friday that we're going to race the brand new Ducati Panigale V4R this year in MotoAmerica Superbike. And we're really excited about it.
How did this whole deal come about? How do you go from Yamaha's last year all the way to Ducati's now?
Yeah, it's obviously a big change. I was working on my race program, obviously, the moment the season ended at Barber. And there was just this opportunity that came up, and I really didn't think of it as much at the time, but a local dealer in Tucson, where I'm from, where I'm living now, on any moto, they're a Ducati dealer, and I went out there just to kind of network and talk to them because they're also members out at Indy Motorsports Ranch, where we have our schools and where I'm also a member and do some private coaching and stuff. And they were like, "Hey, what would you think if you just came out and rode the V4S just for fun?" And yeah, sure, that sounds cool. It's a new motorcycle I've never ridden, and it'd be cool. So we went out to the track and we put Dunlop slicks on the bike, and I went out and rode. I did about 30 laps, and the bike was amazing. It was unlike anything I've ever ridden, and we went really quick on it, honestly, and just in stock trim. And I was like, man, this thing's cool, and really didn't think of much of it at the time. Just was a fun day at the track, really, and love riding. So I was like, that was a cool experience. And I had a lot of other things on my plate, other opportunities to race different bikes in MotoAmerica. We, looked at the BMW and the Kawasaki just to kind of switch things up. And eventually some stuff fell through. And a couple weeks ago, the Ducati dealership said they could get me a couple bikes in time for the season, a couple V4Rs, and said, all right, well, let's just do it. And now we're here.
So do you know what type of configuration you're going to be able to race that bike in? Is it going to be primarily stock, or are you going to be able to get, Superbike parts or factory parts or like whatever, for that bike?
Our goal is to field this bike firstly in the most reliable form we can get it in. We've got some challenges to make it just run race distance. You need enough fuel on the bike and you need to be able to tune it and all those things. And we're getting our plan together on how we'd like to build this and what kind of spec it will really be in. There's not going to be a lot of Corsa parts or factory parts on it. We're actually just sourcing a lot of things from sponsors like Motivation USA, and we're going to run SC Project exhaust on it. They're going to build us full system custom exhaust in Italy, and we're just going to kind of take it one step at a time.
Cool.
It's yeah, that is cool. Those guys, they built our custom exhaust for the R1. Same machines that make the HRC MotoGP pipes. So those guys are a really good partner.
Of course, got to go for the electronics question. I mean, the electronics that are on your Yamaha, can they translate to a Ducati? Or are they more fundamental? Or are you going to race stock Ducati electronics? Or do you have any idea at this point?
The electronics that come on the V4R are pretty sophisticated, as is. A lot more sophisticated than a stock R1. And when I rode the V4S, which has pretty close to what the R will have, not quite as good, but I was really impressed with how well the wheelie control worked and how well the traction control and the engine braking settings were that were actually adjustable while I was riding. I was actually just really impressed. It was really easy to get comfortable on the bike, and I think that there's definitely a plan to maximize what that thing can do out of the box from electronics before we start to evaluate other options that are out there.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. If you could pick one characteristic of the bike that stood out for you, acceleration, braking, fit and finish, like whatever, what is it that kind of struck you about that bike that started to get your heart pounding?
Instantly, the look. I can't lie. I mean, you can't argue that. And the first lap, accelerating out of turn 2 at Indy Motorsports Ranch, we got an airstrip is actually the back straightaway, and I was just immediately blown away with how much power the thing had, and that's just the S model. It doesn't rev as high as the R. It doesn't have as much power as the R. So I mean, I've been blown away. The thing would out accelerate my R1 Superbike right out of the box with a slip-on on it at 4,500 feet of elevation. I was like really impressed. So that is really the biggest thing that stood out to me.
So are you confident that you will have these motorcycles in time for the start of the MotoAmerica season then?
Yes, we will. We're going to have time to get them built and get them prepped and hopefully do some testing beforehand. We're definitely going to have to do some testing, and that's in the plan. So, yeah, we're going to be good to go for round 1.
What about stuff like wheels? Those types of things because the bike is so new. Have you even been able to even dive into things like that about getting multiple set of wheels? Are there wheels available for it other than stock, or where you have to run stock? I know it's a crazy question to ask. This deal is only a couple days old, but I think about how many tires get put on and off the bike over the course of the race weekend, and front wheels with rotors and all that kind of stuff. Have you even thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as this became an idea, I was like, okay, before I pull the trigger, I need to make sure I can get stuff for this bike. And there's actually a ton of stuff that's available, a lot because of the S being out for over a year now. So the chassis is very similar. The wheels are the same, so everybody, all those aftermarket companies who make hard parts for these things, they've been hard at work making stuff for the S that's going to fit the R. So we're in pretty good shape. The wheels are actually they're the same as the like the 1299 Panigale, so that's all easy. There's a lot of stuff there. There's going to be just bigger challenges like the fuel tank, just making custom fuel tanks that can hold enough fuel for the race distance and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot trickier.
Are you prepared at all, for being the face of the Ducatisti road racing effort in the United States? Because that is a big group of people and a very passionate group of people as well.
They are, and man, in the 3 days that this news has been out, I have been overwhelmed with the amount of support and the fan base. It's like they're just rallying behind me on this deal. It's been amazing. Talking to a lot of different dealers and a lot of different just fans of Ducati. It's going to be really exciting to see those people come out in droves and want to support this. I mean, it's already a huge fan base and their brand is iconic. You stick this V4R in the paddock. This bike is just, on paper, it's a beast, and people are just getting behind this bike, and I'm really excited to see what kind of support we get at the track.
V4R, I don't have a spec sheet in front of me, Kyle, but does that already come with some components you can race on in terms of suspension? Usually it comes with Olean suspension, or is that something that you're looking at, start sourcing now too?
Yeah, well, luckily, our Superbike forks, our Olin's forks off of our R1, we're going to get triple clamps and everything for the V4R. So, that's all pretty much universal that we just build to fit. And the bike comes with a TTX 36 shock. So it's already a pretty high level shock that we can just revalve. If not, we'll maybe go to a higher spec shock, but yeah, I mean, it's going to come pretty well suited for the track, and the engines are a step above the V4S. They run a shorter stroke to get it into the 1,000 cc limit for homologation. So it spins up. I think it red lines at 16.5 in sixth gear.
Wow, yeah. That's a different Ducati, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What about your current program, the R1 program? Is that something you hold on to? Are you going to have a yard sale? Like, is there, I'm just curious, as a private team owner, is there anything that you can recoup from all the bits and pieces and parts and stuff that you have laying around the shop?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of equity there, and we are selling parts already, and we want to sell complete motorcycles. The bikes are at Gary Dean's shop, and he is like the R1 guru, especially in that area, Southern California. People have been asking him for months about buying our stuff, and we just had to hold on to it just in case it was what we had to continue doing. But everything is for sale. So anybody who wants some pretty trick R1 parts, reach out to me.
Well, I mean, I'm pumped for you. I know Pridmore's pumped for you. And obviously, we saw MotoAmerica's social media was like, hey, Ducati's back, and with Kyle Wyman, so they're pumped. So congratulations on the deal. We would love to be able to ping you during the course of these next couple months, check in on the project, and maybe when the bikes finally land on shore, you'll be able to talk about it. And when you test, at least, we'll be able to talk about it. I mean, are you down with that? Because this is such an interesting program. For a privateer to take on a Ducati can be a huge task. So I'm really interested to find out what happens.
Yeah, it is a huge task. It's going to be a big challenge, but I think it's something that's going to be important in, looking back and how I've grown my program over the years. To think we started on a Harley XR 1200 and now we're going to field a V4R is pretty wild. So I think this is going to be a huge growth opportunity for us. And I would love to keep you guys posted, because there's going to be a lot of interesting challenges to overcome and things of that nature, just getting everything race ready. So I think we're going to do an event when we get our bikes. We're going to take one straight to the track and ride it in stock trim and invite some people out to come see it run and stuff like that. So maybe you'll have to come out for that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. It really does. Hey, final question on this one. Will this mean that you pay even more attention to World Superbike this year because, you're going to be running, at least from a baseline perspective, similar equipment to what Chaz is running and Eugene Laverty and, all the Bautista. You think you're going to be paying a little bit more attention to what they're doing and the results that they're getting more than you normally would for World Superbike?
Yeah, I definitely am. It's being a new bike, everybody's eyes are glued to that thing and seeing how it performs. So far, I think testing just wrapped up at Portimao, and Alvaro Bautista has already gone, really competitive times on that thing. So it's good to see. Obviously, our bike's not going to be, really quite at that spec, maybe at any moment, at any time, but
yeah, right. Yeah.
It's promising. I mean, when you look at their V twins and how high strung those things had to be competitive, it's really promising to see that they've had reliability and everything's kind of going to plan for those guys. So
thanks to Kyle for taking all that time. And before we jumped off the call, Kyle wanted to say something to Jason Pridmore, actually, who's, of course, in the hospital.
Hey, Jason, it's Kyle Wyman. So bummed to hear about your accident in Phillip Island. Heard you were hauling ass, but man, just hoping you have a good prognosis and come back strong, come back swinging, because we gotta go play a round of golf.
So for all you Ducati fans, you got to keep an eye on what Kyle Wyman's going to be doing for 2019. Now, keeping with MotoAmerica, some of the Superbike teams took to the track for some testing today. And in anticipation of that, I had a chat with reigning Superbike champ Cameron Beaubier yesterday. Here's how that chat went.
All right, Cam, thanks for being on the Greg's Garage Pod with co-host Jason Pridmore. How are you, champ?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
Good. I mean, I'm missing Pridmore, of course. The poor guy laying in a hospital bed in Australia and all that stuff. But other than that, how's your winter been going? What's been going on?
It's been pretty good. I've been slowly ramping up my training a little bit, but is nice. It's been man, we had a test at Buttonwillow a couple weeks ago, and that was the first time I've been on the bike since Barber, so I was definitely itching to get back riding, but it turns out I still remember how to ride and everything, and it was good. It was good to get back on the bike and get back with my guys.
Can you give us any details about that test, Cam? Like in terms of, was there anything new to try, or was it just that knock the rust off after the holidays kind of test?
Exactly. It was just a knock the rust off day. And that's what Garrett and I both needed, because it's been a while since we ridden since Barber. But it was good. Yeah, it was really good. I felt I was pretty happy with how I rode, just for, hopping on the thing after a few months off. So it was good. I've been riding some moto here at home, starting to get ready for the season, some bicycle, some training, hanging out with my family and Shelby and my friends. And it's been a really good off season. I'm ready to get back going though, for sure.
Oh, I bet. Now, was that test a private test for you guys? Like, did you have the track pretty much to yourselves, or was it in the middle of a track day thing?
Yeah, no, it was a private day. JD was out there with the tack, and it was good. It was good to have a couple of other bikes on the track, just because that track gets pretty dirty in the winter with some rain, pushing some dirt up on the track and stuff like that. But it was good. And then we're going to Thunder Hill tomorrow and Thursday, and I think the Yosh boys will be there, and I think JD will be there also. So that should be a good test for us. But realistically, we don't have a ton of stuff changing on our bike. It's pretty much the same bike as we had last year. I know Hobbs is trying to find some he has some stuff that might give us a little bit more power off the corner, which would be really, really good for us, that we're going to try here at the next couple tests. So I'm pretty excited for that. But other than that, I'm kind of excited because we're not really testing too much. We're just going to go out and pound some laps out, and I think that's what we really need right now. Kind of ride ourselves back into race shape, and we have a really good package going into this season, and it's the same bike I've ridden the last few years, so I'm excited about that. No testing, just go out, put your head down, pound out some laps. I like that.
As of this moment, the TV deal hasn't been announced, but a lot of us inside the industry kind of have an idea of what it's going to be or hope it's going to be. With looking across 2019, you have some changes, right? Obviously, JD, like you're saying, is on the attack bike. Kyle Wyman just signed a deal to get a Ducati, into the mix, and so on.
Yeah.
What's your feeling heading into 2019 for the MotoAmerica series in general?
I think it's going to be great. I think it's really cool that Kyle's brought a new manufacturer to the grid, and I think JD is going to be really fast on the Superbike. But also, like Matty Schultz and Garrett or Matty's going to have a couple years under his belt on the big bike now, in the Superbike class, and then same with Garrett. I think those guys are going to be really fast, and obviously Josh and Tony are going to be really tough too. So it's shaping up to be a really good year, man. I'm excited. I'm just itching to get going, and I think it'll be really good to get to a test where the Yosh guys will be at. They've been riding quite a bit, and it'll be good to have someone to base my speed off of. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be good.
Well, we've kind of heard it in the past, but not on this podcast, Cam. Can you just kind of identify what was the big turning point? When in the season was the big turning point for you and your team, and why in 2018?
In 2018, I'd say, honestly, at the start of the year, all off season, I felt really, really good in testing. Like, I got my confidence back. Dunlop was always at our tests, other than a couple here or there, but they sent us the tires that we were going to race on, the super soft front and that bigger rear tire that I just feel like kind of unlocked my bike. My bike works so good with that combination of tire with the softer front, at least with my riding style. And I had a bunch of confidence going into the season, but we got to Road Atlanta and kind of got slapped in the face. I think I crashed like 3 times that weekend. It was just not a good opener for us. But we just kept our heads down, and we still salvaged a podium. And I think we crashed in the other race and still got some points, But I knew I had the speed. Same with VIR. Went to VIR and COTA. I almost won that race in COTA and crashed in the rain, and was still able to pick it up and get some points. And I think I got second in the other one. And we know COTA isn't the best track for our bike and myself, but we know we can still be competitive there. And then going into VIR, I knew, I was like, all right, like it's crunch time. Like let's get going. And we got beat there too. So I was a little my head wasn't held too high going into the rest of the rounds. I knew we were competitive, but we just needed a little bit more of whatever. And Dunlop ended up bringing the big tire and the super soft front tire that we had tested all off season on. And like I said, I feel like those tires are really a big benefit for me on the edge of the tire, rolling through the track. And I picked up a lot of edge grip and just confidence on the brakes, which was what I've been struggling with the last few years. And that was kind of the click there at Road America. We were we had a little cushion time-wise in practice and qualifying on the competition. And I had some good confidence going into the race. And obviously you guys saw what happened at the first race. It got a little crazy and stuff like that. But after that, I was like, it just kind of clicked. I was like, all right, like I can do this, just keep your head down. I got a good bike, a great team, great bike, great team. We had Dunlop introduce those tires, like I said, that we've been tested on, and it was go time from there. And we knocked down win after win after that, and just kept rolling with that momentum. And it was a pretty good feeling after we were down in the dumps.
It's interesting because there's a lot of chatter about who's the next big American and where they're going. And, you hear some people say, oh, why doesn't Cam just go to World Superbike? Why doesn't Cam just go to MotoGP? Tell us a little bit about, what your goals are at your current age and your decision to stay in the States and what's actually available and what's not available. Like, try to dispel some of that, those rumors that you hear or murmurings that people think they know exactly what happens behind the scenes in terms of, you staying here in MotoAmerica for 2019 and beyond.
I would love to go race on the world stage and go kind of prove myself over there and race against the best guys. Like, I crave that, like that's what I want. But at the same time, I love racing in America. Like, I love being able to go home after every race, sleep in my own bed, spend time with my friends and family during the season. I think that's great. And I love being a part of MotoAmerica and seeing MotoAmerica grow and being a part of MotoAmerica growing. I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool to look back on. We have a good life right now here. And I don't want to give up what I have here for not the perfect situation over there, But I've realized more and more lately that I'm not going to be able to get a perfect situation right off the bat going over there. Like, I'm going to have to go over there and grind out a few years if I do want to go out over there, and hopefully it pays off. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's, yeah, I mean, it's tough, but right now, I see a couple write-ups and stuff about why I'm not over there and this and that. But I mean, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world racing a motorcycle and being able to be competitive and win here on a great bike and a great team. And that's not something I want to give up right now.
When you're at the test, does your team keep an eye on your competitors, or do you just try to keep your head down and stay focused on your program, especially the fact that you don't have a lot to test? So is it, you know what I mean? Is it going to be fun to clock what Josh Herron and Tony are doing, even, all the rest of the guys on the track?
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Like I said, we really don't have too much to test. So I think just pounding out laps is what we're going to do more or less. Obviously, we're always going to be trying to critique something and little changes here and there, suspension, electronics, stuff like that. But no major changes that we're going to be working on. So, and I think it'll be good, like I said, having Josh and Tony out there, because they've been testing quite a bit since the last round, and it seems like they're well up to speed. They're ripping. So I think that'll be a good carrot for me to chase, getting back up to speed and getting back in race form. So I'm excited for it, for sure.
So my thanks again to Cameron Beaubier for taking the time to do that interview. I think a lot of good, cool things that he talked about in there. Number one's interesting is that the Yamaha is not going to be going through many changes. So it's going to be interesting to see how Suzuki comes to play, if Richard Stamboli improves his R1 with JD Beach on it, electronics on the Westby racing machine. There's a lot of things left to be decided. So, and of course, not to be outdone by Kyle Wyman, here's what Cam had for my podcast partner.
Hey, Jason, it's Cam. I'm really bummed to hear what happened to you, man. I know you're ripping over there, holding the torch holding the torch up for Team America, and I'm really sorry you got hurt. I hope you get home safe.
All right, thanks again, Cam. We appreciate it. And the test happened already today, but I haven't gotten any lap times just yet, so I'm waiting to find all that stuff out. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk about that next week with Jason. Now, the last 4 days of World Superbike testing wrapped up recently, with Kawasaki's Jonathan Rea leading the timesheets from Jerez and Portimao. But some were surprised about who ended up leading a day and second overall in both tests. It was Paddy Yamaha's Alex Lowe's. Alex and I had a quick chat on the phone about how things went. Alex, welcome back to the podcast. Appreciate your time on this one. So let's get right into it. You've been testing the last, little over a week, and obviously you've just been living at the top of the timesheets. Tell us about the tests and how they went for you.
Yeah, the testing has gone really well this year so far. We've been working on a few new things on the bike, a few things the guys have brought since the November test in Jerez. And yeah, it's just been, everything's gone really well, quite smooth. We've not had no issues with the bikes. We've had a few things that was sort of, I felt, holding me back last year, especially sort of entering the corners. I seem to have made a bit of a step in that area as well. So I'm quite optimistic that when we go to a lot of the other tracks, we can carry that sort of form forward. But yeah, it's been really good. I've been enjoying my riding, and normally when you're fast and you're enjoying it, that's when you're at your best.
What tire have you settled on the rear? Is it now moving into 2019 only the big rear Pirellis available, or do you still have two choices available?
Yeah, so what we have is on the rear, all the tires that we've tested have been the bigger size, but on the front, there's been a little bit of a mixture because I believe there's going to be some races where the smaller tire is still going to be available. But during the sort of base setting of the 2019 bike, we've been setting up on the bigger tires front and rear. So that's going to be our sort of base from now on, which is good because last year it's something that I didn't adjust to as well as some of the other guys did.
And looking around the paddock and being around some of the other motorcycles that we're testing, what's your assessment of how the Kawasaki looks like it's progressing and the Ducati at the same time?
Yeah, the Kawasaki's obviously was a strong bike last year anyway, and it looks like they've got a bit more top speed from the bike, which is an area where, to be honest, they weren't that strong last year. You know, they certainly weren't the fastest bike in the straight, but now they look strong, so that's sort of not good news for everyone else. But at the same time, I think that we've improved on the Yamaha. The BMW looks like it's arrived in the championship and it's going to be strong straight away. And also, obviously, the new Ducati is, looks good. And once they find their feet, I believe that's going to be pretty strong as well. So, yeah, hopefully it can be a lot closer than the last 2 or 3 years.
So with this motorcycle that you have now that you're working so hard to get set up, do you feel like that this is a motorcycle you can race better on or race more aggressively on as opposed to just do a fast lap time?
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been working on most is trying to not rely on the corner speed. A notorious characteristic of the Yamaha is to use these big wide lines and use those as corner speed, which is fine when you've got grip or when you're riding on your own. But if you're in a group and you're trying to battle, it's not easy to take them lines, and then you seem to struggle a little bit more. So this winter we've been trying to ride a little bit more stop-start style so you can be a bit more aggressive. And obviously we don't know yet until we get into a race situation, but I feel a lot more prepared for being around the other bikes, which is a positive.
With two more factory-level motorcycles on the grid, the
Yep.
press is saying, oh, this is going to be good for you guys because there's going to be more data flowing, that type of thing.
Yep.
Do you see it yet, if that's even a true statement or not, that the data is already flowing across 4 bikes instead of just 2?
No, to be honest, from my side with what I'm doing with my guys, it's not really made any difference. And Marco is such a strange rider because due to his size, obviously he's really light, he's quite small, so his need on the bike, what he needs to go fast, how he needs the bike set up, doesn't really relate to anyone else. So it's not going to be too much of a help for us. I think in terms of being competitive and having another team to push our team, I think that's always a positive in racing. So hopefully from that side, it can help us push the whole thing forward. But in terms of settings, I'm not too sure there's going to be that much help, to be honest.
Looking forward to the first race of the year. How do you and Phillip Island get along? Do you like the circuit, and are you really pumped with what you have going into the first one?
Yeah, it's one of my favourite tracks. It's a track that I've always felt really comfortable on, and also it's a track where the R1 goes well, I think. So, I feel confident. I'm looking forward to getting started. Obviously, we have the 2 days of testing the week prior to the race, so plenty of time to get comfortable. And yeah, we need to start this year strong. We finished last year strong, and I want to keep the momentum going.
So you want to make sure you go check out WorldSBK.com. And of course, the first race, round 1 of the season, is February 22nd through the 24th in Australia, Phillip Island. So we'll be keeping an eye on all the guests we've had here on Greg's Garage Pod, because there's going to be more of them coming from the World Superbike paddock, and we're really looking forward to that. And of course, Alex knows Jason Pridmore pretty well, so Alex wanted to express his well wishes for Pridmore.
Hey JP, it's Alex. I just wanted to wish you a special fast recovery. Obviously, we speak a lot anyway, and it's a shame to see you pick up an injury down there in Phillip Island. Obviously, you was flying as well, so get well soon, buddy, and I'll catch you on the golf course.
Yeah, obviously the golf course, Jason and the golf course. So as Jason continues to heal, we'll kind of start wrapping this show up. Supercross recap. North Carolinian Cooper Webb notched his second win in a row and took over the points lead. With his 0.7 of a second win, Webb now has 2 points over Honda's Ken Roczen, 3 over Kawasaki's Eli Tomac, and 4 over his KTM teammate Marvin Musquin. As for our boy Chad Reed, 9th, tying his best points haul for the season so far. And today, unfortunately for us, Chad was out racing go-karts, and we didn't have a time to connect. Usually he's on the East Coast, and we have good time to get on the phone and chat. But for this one, he's on the West Coast, and he got pretty busy. In terms of our Supercross Fantasy League, of course, it's no fun without Jason, like I mentioned last week. But for the second week in a row, Corey Alexander leads the rmfantasysx.com team. And when JP comes back next week, we're going to talk more about fantasy and how it goes, because I don't even know if Pridmore had a chance to get his picks in. I would imagine not, because I think he was pretty hurt after that high side crash. So he scored some points just by letting that, just carry over. So make sure you get onto social media. Wish Jason good luck. While I am recording this podcast, Jason did text me, and the doctors in Australia, according to Jason, say that they're going to try to get him walking right now. So it is, pretty late into the evening on Wednesday on the East Coast, and Jason's out there in Australia. It's already Thursday, and they're going to try to get him walking. So wouldn't surprise me if they put him on an airplane in a week or less, and he gets back to the States and gets back to some normalcy for him. Well, that's going to do it for us on this podcast. We appreciate you hanging out, and please make sure you share this with everybody, and get people involved in the Greg's Garage Pod with co-host Jason Pridmore. Sorry, Jason hasn't been here for the last 2 weeks. As you know, he was traveling and he got hurt. So hopefully we'll have him back, and you don't have to listen to me drone on and on. But I appreciate the download. Feel free to share it with everyone you know. It's going to start getting hot and heavy as we get closer and closer to the start of World Superbike, MotoGP, MotoAmerica. We're going to be doing stuff on American Flat Track, and we're going to keep track of Supercross, a little bit of Moto when it comes in, and all kinds of different series. So thanks for joining us, and I'll talk to you next week.